Stylish men sporting great clothes, focusing really hard on manners and etiquette with the hope of being recognized as grown men, as good men. Young lads focusing on presenting themselves in the best package possible, learning all they can about beards and hairstyle, shirts and trousers, how to talk and what lines to say in every situation, thinking that by doing this they will be accepted as fine men, as gentlemen, as men that have the respect and admiration of many. Yet oftentimes people cringe and laugh at these would-be gentlemen, transforming them into a source of jokes and ridicule. Their softness is exposed by their emotional reactions despite their effort of presenting themselves as strong. Their over-sentimentality is uncovered by their uncontrolled responses to whoever threatens their fragile image of manhood. Have you ever wondered, friend, how someone that means well in his intentions as a man cannot get to be recognized as an authentic gentleman despite all his efforts? Were you ever in such a situation? And is there something more to being a gentleman? Something that goes beyond manners and etiquette, beyond style and appearance? Something that is instantly recognized by everyone and that can give you the authentic recognition of being a good man, a refined man? The answer to this question lies in the word itself. Gentleman. You have got to be a man first before you can be a gentleman. Unless you develop your barbarian virtues, gaining civilized ones will be meaningless. You first need to become a man of strength and courage, a man who has mastered his aggression and who has the power to control violence, a brute among men who is not devoured by his instincts. You have to embrace mastery and prove your competence before you get to be honored for it. You have to become a monster that is in control of his actions, because being a gentleman is nothing more than being a manly man with a polish. Keep in mind, friend, that the respect a gentleman gets is based on his ability to constrain himself. A gentleman has the ability, the power, the cleverness, the confidence, and even the desire to push you over, to muscle you aside and to manipulate you, but he has instead voluntarily chosen to restrain himself, to follow a more moral course of action. He is a monster ready to devour, but his self-control exhibits one immortal marker of manhood, the strength of his will. Never forget that the authentic respect a gentleman gets and the highest praise one can give a man is that he is capable of doing harm, but chooses not to. On your journey of becoming a well-spoken and respected man, you need to understand that you have to become a man before being a gentleman. Without having the rough, hard virtues of manhood, developing the gentle ones will never represent an act of self-mastery. Nobody deserves to be praised for goodness unless he is strong enough to be bad, because any other goodness is only inertia or lack of willpower. If you are a timid man who demonstrates good manners, that is not an act of self-mastery, but simply following the path of least resistance, since it is the only choice you have. The most impressive act of a gentleman is to demonstrate virtues that he will struggle to achieve, virtues that he is constantly tested to violate. A man that goes about his life quietly, never breaking the law, never stealing and never embracing corruption is nice and praiseworthy. But a man in a position of power who will have ample temptations to stray, to become corrupted, to steal and deceive, who exhibits the same honor and loyalty to his word, will be much more impressive, because his goodness does not come from a lack of opportunities, but from active restraint, and his actions are a clear evidence of his energy and willpower. Honor and respect will always be given to the man who has both the desire and the ability to defy, deceive and misbehave, but who chooses not to feed his primal instincts. Remember, friend, there is nothing wrong with wanting to develop gentlemanly behaviors. In many cases, it is much easier and more accessible to do this than developing your strength, courage and mastery, but the real power behind manners lies in restraint. Real power comes from you having the ability and the desire to pursue your interests to the greatest extent possible, but intentionally deciding to act civilly, to do good and to respect the interests of others as well. You will be authentically respected if you have the power to push and manipulate your way through each day to get what you want, but you don't. In the absence of such power and manly will, being a gentleman will only be seen as gliding along in your innate timidity. You will always be laughed at and ridiculed if you are a well-mannered weakling who thinks of himself as good because you have no claws and no ability to do damage. Striving to be a gentleman without first embracing and mastering the rough qualities and virtues of manhood will rob you of both the self-respect gained by winning the battles with your desires and the honor of others who recognize the stakes of the game you are in. I dare you, friend, to first build the foundation that you need to be able to become a well-mannered and civilized man. Build the rough traits that will allow you to not become a pushover whenever your manners and good intentions will be challenged. Become a monster able to do damage physically, mentally, emotionally, and let that be your foundation. Become a scholar and learn how to polish and contain your rough traits, and then embrace manners and etiquette by becoming a man that acts honorably and with others' best interests in mind, but who is also able in dire situations to unleash hell if that is what needs to be done to restore harmony and order. I challenge you to choose the hard and rough path of developing the beast inside you, because nothing in the world is worth having and worth doing unless it means effort, pain, and difficulty. Respect and admiration will always come your way if you choose to live a difficult life and you live it well. Knowing what is right doesn't mean much unless you also do what is right, and there will be moments in your life when being a gentleman will require you to jump in the fire and act justly, fairly, and nobly, and to do this, you need to be able to. On your journey of becoming a gentleman, will you build the skills that can back up your manners in front of the darkest challenge? Or will you hope that the tests of life will never challenge your well-mannered and greatly put-together appearance? The choice is yours to make.